I have no idea if this is working at all. Theoretically, I'm streaming to YouTube via Restream. In practice, I have no idea. I had a mix-up a while ago with the streaming keys, and so it is quite possible this is not working at all like it's supposed to. I certainly have a hell of a delay compared to when I go direct to YouTube streaming direct. I did pretty good. Okay, now it looks like it's kind of working. Although what happened is, it's kind of interesting in case anyone is curious. I still have a little bit of things to work out because right now I have this stream which I created earlier, which I'm going to attempt to delete from somewhere, wherever the heck it is. Like, I don't even know where this stream comes up right now. Like, but I know this one has got to go. So it's probably in the YouTube studio. Oh yeah, I forgot. I gotta click on live, and then I can delete the stream from over here. So, okay, that's good. So I still gotta do some finagling, but I'll take this as progress. So as it stands right now, I am live. Wait, am I live? I may not be live. It doesn't quite look like I'm live. Oh yeah, I'm live and testing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5-second delay is not bad. That is not bad. Okay, I can live with a 5-second delay. And obviously the quality is automatically low. I can crank it up to 720 60 and 1080 at 60. So that looks pretty decent. Let's see, I want to do a frame rate test. I want to see what the... Oh, and I got to adjust my camera. I can see the window here. There we go. And we do have to adjust this little bit here. So, I mean... Oh, and I got to turn on my other light. Okay, alright, now we have all the lights up. Although, I still feel like there's more of a delay here. Oh, I know what's happening here. Whoops. Let's get back to the main camera. That is kind of trippy. So, if you... I have like a 5-second delay. I'm doing screen capture, and I'm seeing my own delay 5 seconds apart. It reminds me of the Star Trek episode when Data had to dump like proto-matter or antimatter inside of a hole in the ground. And I gotta mute my audio here. I'm gonna go insane. And basically, like, there's like 5 Lieutenant Datas. Hey, wait, is my other light on? Oh, I gotta turn on my other light. There we go. Okay, there we are. It's about a 5-second delay. I can live with that. Ah, shit. I hate when it happens. There we go. So now, okay, good. I got picture, I got sound. What am I missing here? Okay, so YouTube dashboard. If I go to live streams, I see the stream that we're currently watching on my screen. So that's good, I guess. The restream side says everything's all hunky-dory too. Now, let's briefly talk about the chat overlay that I managed to get up and running. So basically, I watched a video from another YouTuber, and I should definitely put a link to that video right now. So, whoops, I gotta do it again because this chat window is invalid. So we're gonna fix that right now. We're gonna go back to my YouTube studio. And I gotta go to this live stream. And actually, I'm sure this is not the right way to do this. Something, you know, I'm not really used to doing it through Restream. That's why I'm messing around with it right now. But like, this is an old stream, okay? It's earlier today. If I go to content and live streams, we have this one here. And if I click here, okay, now I see how it works. Okay. And no, it's not made for kids. So people can't participate in the chat unless I click that button. If you don't click no, it's not made for kids. So anytime I create a stream on a different streaming platform, I have to remember to make sure I click this button here. If I don't click on it, other people cannot, you know, they can't see it, you know. So anyway, we're going to do pop out chat. So the way that this worked was according to the instructions, which I'm going to put in the chat right now. Basically, if I want to highlight a chat, I just click on it like this. Now, did it pop up? No, it didn't. Why did it not pop up? Because I have to reset it up. So in OBS, if we go to my main scene, up at the, somewhere in here, I have, in fact, right over here. So if we go here, we got to pick a new window. So we're going to pick the new window. And there it is. That's the chat window. Now, you're supposed to resize it like initially, so that everything fits nice and neatly. And then once you get it right, you usually leave it alone. So this here, I'm going to put it on my third monitor up here, just like that. The font looks a little bit on the large side, but I'm just going to live with that. At this point, the chat should work for anybody who wants to use, you know, leave a message. Now, from there, I'm going to go and basically make the OBS window large so I can see what I'm doing. And then we're currently in a test scene, but what we do is we hold down Alt and we grab the little handles and I'm able to expand it. Now, also, if you watch the tutorial video in the link from this other channel, the guy basically tells you to add a filter. So I'm using display, I'm using window capture for that particular thing. And in fact, I'm using window capture over here. And then if I right click on that panel, which you cannot see right now, I'm going to copy and paste it to my Dell monitor. Here we go. So now, this is the thing that lets us see the chat overlay. And what makes it work is two things. One, I added window capture over here. Number two, I applied a filter to it by right clicking on it and clicking the word filter. And the filter we applied was the color key. And when you pick color key, you get these settings. And because the background of this is a pure black, because, you know, that's what we see in the chat window, right? You know, this is the chat window. The background in the chat window is, you know, pure black. Whereas this is like an off gray. And so when we tell the color key filter to key out the black, it literally makes that part transparent, which is precisely what we want it to do. And then once we have that going, we can take this here, we can, you know, resize it like I'm doing right now. I'm holding down Alt while I'm grabbing the handles and I'm, you know, cropping and uncropping it. Really, cropping it becomes less important if you're able to key out the color you don't want. I just leave a little edge on the side so I can put it on the side without putting it too close to the you know, edge. And I also want to like maybe have a little margin on the bottom So now I have the exact size I want. I can go to my main camera and boom, put it right there. And then if we go back to my main monitor one last time, at least for the purposes of this, how I get the pop-up to go? Well, first let me paste it into this scene too. There we go. So all I got to do is click on the chat like that, see? And then this is another test message. And I want to highlight that, boom, and it does that. And this is wonderful because it works independently of both Restream and StreamYard. And so now the only thing is right now my YouTube metrics say I have 2 people watching and one of them is me. So I want to get rid of myself, so I'm going to close myself out on the top tab. And I need to find the chat box for this stream. So I think that's down here on my bottom screen. This shouldn't count as me watching my own content. I hope not, because I'm not trying to cheat or anything like that. But it does allow me to have a chat window. Whoops. I got to bring that back now. Okay, so once again, I'm going to have to resize it. And then I have to go into the OBS settings. So this is a little bit tenuous. I do think it's a little tenuous because I have to like reassert it every time every single time I close that window apparently. But it isn't terribly difficult to do. See, that wasn't too difficult. And once you do, you can like click on different chats. Now, the reason you would resize it is to like basically get the window to be a little wider, just like that. And then now that should be a bit more clean of an experience cycling between chat messages. So that's good. I'm very happy with that. And like I said, I learned to add chat overlays from this video. I'm just going to leave the misspelling there, but yeah, that was a helpful, very helpful video from a young Englishman. He might be Scottish, you know, I can never tell. I'm not very good at spotting them. That's terrible. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. Now, at this point, I can close out this and close out that. Okay, so we're looking good there. There we go. Now, it says I have one person watching it, and I don't know if that's a glitch, like a false positive, or if that's based on reality. But in any case, I can tell you that Simplejack Live did a funny video. And I'll leave a link there because, you know, he's a nice gentleman. So, you know, there we go. Another example, and see, we get the URL, and that tells people they can go to the chat and find a link to a video in the chat. So that's pretty cool. And now we're going to get to our feature presentation. And basically nothing to... Oh, my computer doesn't like me right now. My computer did not like that. Hey, what's up, Super Mario Brothers movie channel? It's good to see you. My computer just took a disagreement with me when I went to drag this window to my second monitor. And I think it's because I'm running this video encoder at the same time as I'm streaming here. There we go. I just stopped recording. So I'm doing recording and streaming at the same time. The instant I stopped recording, that window unfroze and went to my third monitor. So I have the chat window up there, and basically I'm doing pretty well here tonight. I figured out how to do this. And, you know, it's my friend from the Super Mario fan channel, from the movie fan channel. And if I click on open, you know, channel, where's the button here? Go to channel. There we go. It opens up in a new window, and then I can pick videos or lives, and I see you did videos every day. You're on fire. You know, I see you working hard. And so I can put a link there, you know, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I mean, look, I mean, things are pretty sweet. What's happening is, so I digitized some VHS tapes, and I have a very unique process. And earlier today, I did a stream where I fixed, or I went to fix the VCR that apparently was not broken. So the VCR worked itself out. I should probably not leave that open. Those are torrents. So here's some things I recorded earlier today. So for example, the 1994 figure skating competition. That girl is hot. That's a great outfit. Now, I had to like play with the tracking because you can see the bottom of the thing is kind of blurry. And that's because, you know, tracking. And so I made some adjustments. I figured out how to adjust the tracking to get it to come out good. The audio was good the whole time, so no problem there. And, you know, it's just like typical 1994 right here. IBM was sponsoring it at the time, apparently. And you got, like, you know, this lady who was an ice skater 20 years before being on this, apparently, I guess. And they had this other lady who was like, hold up. There we go. We have a little more disruption in the video. So, basically, this is, like, actually de-interlace off. So I always got to remember to turn off de-interlacing, because in VLC, it'll de-interlace the video automatically if you don't you know, turn off the filter. And this is important because you can see these little horizontal lines called combing artifacts, and they come up in anything I digitize. So basically the way I digitize is I use this application. I press play on my VCR. My VCR is connected to a camcorder, and my camcorder is connected by FireWire to my PC. I click record or capture. It goes into whatever folder I tell it to. Then when I'm done, I copy it over my network to a network drive. And so if we go over here right now, we should have some sketchy things on screen there. Well, okay. Here we are. Ice skating pool party. The pool party is very straightforward. So we basically, you know, trial and error. You learn these things. We're going to lower the audio onto that. We don't even need the audio for this. I just figure we make it available in case. So basically now, over the years, I've digitized VHS tapes 7,000 different ways. And one of them is getting like a USB dongle. Where's the piece? I have a piece laying around somewhere. Well, shoot. Where did I put that thing? Well, it's not absolutely necessary to demonstrate, but I have a thing. It has the composite video connections on it. You know, your yellow, white, and red video cables from the 90s and early 2000s. I know where I put that. Perfect. Whoops, excuse the noise. So this thing here, whoops, is a adapter. It goes from the VCR into these cables. This is your video, and then this is your left and right audio channel, and then it comes out through the HDMI port. And this is great if you need something in a pinch to go from a VCR to a modern TV, but it has some quirks. It's an upscaler, so it tries to bump it up to 720 or 1080p. It has a switch here. It spits out a widescreen image no matter what. So even though right now in the media player this is not widescreen, and there we go, put that up. If we do cropping, and we got, there we go, 16:9 was the correct one. So this is what it would look like when I use this upscaler. This is the image we get. And the problem is this is not cropped. In fact, yeah, it's a stretched image. It's not even cropped. It's like literally stretched. Whereas this is the correct aspect ratio. This is the correct shape and size of the image, I believe. Let me make sure. In fact, it was default. So we don't want it stretched. And this device assumes that your TV has, you know, a built-in function to unstretch the image. And many TVs do. But there's another problem with this. Even if you can manually unstretch it when using OBS or whatever you're recording with, this also automatically removes those horizontal lines. What do I mean? These lines here. You can see the lines here, like whenever those little horizontal lines there. Those are called combing artifacts, and they're caused by having interlaced video. Let's see, I'm just doing a little test here. That's interesting. Some of the chat... Oh, I see how this works. So, just a side note, when you use this plugin in the video tutorial above, I put a link up there. Every time you click on someone's thing to highlight, it gets highlighted in dark gray, so you don't highlight it twice unless you want to. So that makes sense. Okay, I was worried that it meant something. I was like, I was disconnected or something. So anyway, these horizontal lines get filtered out automatically by this adapter here. But the problem is there's many ways to deinterlace video. All of these methods here work. This one discards half of the lines, and so you're effectively cutting your resolution in half because it's basically getting rid of half of the lines and blending them together, and that can be desirable at times, but it's not desirable. And right now we're talking about 30 frames a second, but the way old TVs worked, you had actually 30 lines, and there was like a pair of lines. There was two sets of lines. There was like very weird. It's a whole other topic. Bottom line, okay, so you see the video right here. That's the source material, and you get these horizontal lines anytime something is moving fast. Well, what is our result? What is the outcome of our efforts? Well, we have that right over here. I used a program called Hybrid to re-encode the video. And somewhere in this list, we have the pool party. Yep, there it is. And if I go to the output folder and I double click on any one of these, such as this one here, look at how buttery smooth that is. So we took 30 frames a second, but because we had two sets of lines, it was able to create a 60 frames a second video. And so it's sort of like when you buy a DVD and they say that this DVD is progressive scan and this other DVD is not progressive scan. This is progressive scan. Progressive scan is where instead of having alternating sets of lines to give the illusion of motion, it actually updates the entire frame. It's just like a roll of film, just like a movie theater, just like how everything is meant to be. And so, yeah, that is what we want. And how did we get there? Well, basically, we took the original video, wherever that video was. We dragged and dropped it into Hybrid. And we basically just gave it our parameters. We said we want to use this video codec. We told it what settings for the video codec we want. So after we dragged and dropped, so we started off with the video with the ugly horizontal lines. And we ended up fixing it by getting it to be butter smooth like we see over here. Like this is no more scan lines. And we doubled the frame rate from 30 frames to 60 frames a second. And so now to get to that part, we basically just take our source material, the original video that has the lines going through it. Where is it? And it's not super important because, you know, luckily we already did it. Well, let's see. I got the folder right here. Oh, there it is. So I took the video, I dragged and dropped it into this program like that. It reads the information. It tells us what file format, what, you know, the settings it has. So I did it with a DV camcorder. So it's 720 by 480 resolution, 29 frames a second, basically 30 frames a second. It's about a half hour of footage. It tells us the audio format, PCM, post-cold modulation. Basically, it's the equivalent of saying that it's wave. It's a wave file, basically. Yeah, you know, like there's no getting around it. Like we could pretend that it's not a wave file, but it totally is. And so what I want to do real quick is resize this here and uncrop the side of the window. There we go. So that we can see it better. Okay, so basically this is the window. I enlarged it so we can see it better. And basically drag and drop our video. This is our source file, the file that has the ugly horizontal lines in it. This is the folder and the file name that's going to save it. We can even browse. We can say browse to this folder. Control C. We go there. We paste in the file name and it's going to output it just like we see here. We see the pool party. That's from 1984. That is home video footage from 1984. So, okay, we tell it, yeah, we want to do it in that folder. And then what we do is we tell it what video codec. Now, right now, we were looking at about 15 gigabytes per hour. 15 gigabytes per hour of video. And yet, the resulting file is now only half a gigabyte. So we got more than like 25, 30 times compression on it. We've literally got the file size to be 30 times smaller. We went from 15 gigs or 7 gigs for a half hour. So it basically went from 15 gigs per hour to 1 gigabyte, a little over 1 gigabyte per hour. And on top of that, we doubled the frame rate, and we got rid of those ugly horizontal lines, those combing artifacts. We deinterlaced it. And the key to that was we dragged and dropped our video as our source material here. You know, the key was to drag and drop our video, our source content. So we took the original video and we dragged and dropped it here. And in fact, it would have been in this folder here. We would have dragged and dropped video from here into here. I picked X264 codec. This is using the CPU. I told it save it to this folder. I told it to add all of the audio tracks. There's only one audio track. I told it to make it an MKV container. So it went from being an AVI file to an MKV file. Under the X264 tab, basically saying, I want to make settings for this. So this is the video codec, and these are the parameters. So I'm saying I want to use a bit rate. Do I want to use 2-pass encoding? Do I want to target a specific file size? Or do I want to tell it to just maintain a certain level of quality? So constant rate factor, 20. And basically it'll maintain consistent quality across my frames, and it'll try to conserve memory at the same time. Our audio track, same thing. This is our source file. That's where the audio came from. Same file as our video, except it's only going to take the audio track. And I'm going to tell it to convert the PCM wave format to something compressed. You can use MP3. You can use AAC. I'm going to use AAC, and I picked a pretty high bit rate because I don't want to really sacrifice any quality from this very old footage. And finally, our filters. We need to go to this tab, deinterlace and detelecine. Now, deinterlace means let's get rid of those ugly horizontal lines and double the frame rate. And actually that's optional, but if I click on this button here, Bob, that doubles our frame rate to 60. The most important thing is just to pick very slow. It's as slow as you can bear. You could go faster, but this is going to give you the best like quality deinterlace. And we can even see as we cycle through these options here, excuse me. In ultra fast quality, it's using an ultra fast preset. And then if we go to the other extreme, now it's saying final temporal smoothing is a 2 as opposed to a 0. So we went from a 0 to a 2 on temporal smoothing. It went and picked very slow over here. And there's other things you could do to it. You can tell it to use your graphics card to accelerate the process. Does it work? Not really. Well, not that I can ascertain. I mean, I'll try it out. We could try it out. Let's try it out. Because I believe that I was getting about 40 frames a second. So if we use OpenCL, can we get faster? Well, let's find out. Well, okay, we picked our settings. Now we're going to add it to the queue. We go to the Jobs tab, and we hit Start. And you can hit Start by hitting the play button or doing something else. Now, this one here, I'm going to have to, like, at some point save this list and close this application because sometimes it gets a little buggy and you got to, like, restart the jobs, basically. But now it's starting it up. And if we expand it, we can see that it's extracting the audio and it's going to convert the audio to a different format. That's the first thing it's going to do. And that particular task is more CPU intensive, or not very, it uses more CPU power than GPU power. Let's shrink that down. There we go. So we can put this back on the side here. And down here, my GPU is working double duty here. It's currently streaming and recording. In fact, if I stop the recording right now, that graph should drop. Yep, there we go. You can see this graph here now. I'm doing it on low speed update. But if I speed it up, see that? The graph is down on the pits. But the instant I hit start recording again, that graph is going to jump back up. And that is because of my OBS settings. And basically in my OBS settings, under output, we have NVIDIA encoder H264, meaning it's going to use this graph here to do the video encoding during the stream. But then, in addition to that, I'm recording simultaneously. Now, you could tell OBS to use the same encoder that you use for streaming for recording, but I don't do that because I need to be able to record separate audio tracks. And I also want to use a higher quality setting. So that's how I do it, right? And even this here, probably can use some significant adjusting because of a multitude of factors. But for now, I'm going to leave that alone. And bottom line is that now if I want to separate an individual audio track, I can do that. But the point is I have two NVIDIA encoders running simultaneously. And that is why when I stopped one of the encoders, the record encoder, this graph went down. Otherwise, everything is pretty much what we normally expect. Interestingly, the network graph spiked because it was reading the audio track. Once it copied the audio track locally, it doesn't need to read from the network. When it's done doing the audio, it's at 50% right now. When it's finished with the audio, it is going to probably give us another spike on the network connection. So that is an example of how we de-interlace video. And what I'm genuinely curious about is when it gets up to the video portion, I want to see if the graph looks different than what I normally see because of my decision to use the OpenCL computational feature to use some cores on the graphics card to assist in the process. In the meantime, I was doing another type of re-encoding. You can see I have some Gundam Double 83 episodes here. And the reason for that is I'm actually in the midst of getting a video ready. I call it Starship Prawn. And basically, I want to do like a video compilation of different starships from various franchises, anime, Star Trek, science fiction. I want to have all kinds of starships put together. Or at least I want to have like a compilation of my favorite scenes of starships in action. And I'm not going to limit it to, regular sci-fi, and I'm not limiting it to just anime, but I want both. Because look, when I discovered Super Dimension Fortress Macross, that was one thing. But then I revisited Macross 7, and I only watched Macross 7 back in like 1997 once, like for a few minutes on the Sci-Fi Channel. It was kind of cool, but I didn't know what to make of it. I'm seeing like freaking a guy piloting what looks like a Gundam while playing music on a guitar, and I'm just like, what is going on here? And it turned out that this was like quintessential 90s anime. This was like some amazing stuff right there. And the coolest thing, in addition to it just being good 90s anime, was the fact that they actually have like, they do have ships. Like on the original Macross, they had ships, but in Macross 7, they have a fleet of ships. They have a generational ship that people live on all their lives while they're traveling to their destination planet to set up a new colony. But the ship itself is a rather, self-sufficient colony of its own. And then they have a fleet of support ships. They have ships that are there to assist in combat. They have ships that are there to develop scientific stuff, And it's just a really interesting setup. Now, of course, it's a little bit cartoonish. I mean, aside from being 1990s anime, it was a little cartoonish how they did some of this stuff on that show. And in particular, that would be like, they like had some really, really bizarre, like, what was it? Like, they had a bunch of ships in their fleet. And basically the science ship was called the Einstein. And it looks like, I don't know, almost like it looks like a mountain with E = mc² printed on the top of that mountain, And they had like a ship that's like basically a ship where there's a TV studio, and it's like the Hollywood ship. And once again, it's got like every ship has a theme, and then all of the ships in the fleet are connected by something called the Rainbow Bomber. Oh wait, no, it's okay. Never mind. For a second there, I thought it messed up the cropping. So they have this thing called the Rainbow Road, and it allows vehicles, which are presumably airtight vehicles, to drive from ship to ship, like they're on a highway, basically. And I mean, like, you know, at that point, why not just give people spacecraft? But I guess the idea is that if you're already driving a car inside the large colony ship, you might as well drive a car to go from, you know, one ship to another while you're at it. So it's kind of interesting, you know, it's like a little bizarre, but, you know, I'll take it, you know. I mean, look, it's an anime where they're literally, you know, they're literally playing music to fight the enemy. They're playing music to make peace in the galaxy. So anyway, I'm a little confused about this part here. I clicked on automatic cropping, and it says it got a result, but it's still doing some processing. So I guess I gotta wait that out, huh? In the meantime, I really need to clean my eyeglasses anyway, so I guess I'll go ahead and take care of that while I'm here, huh? And, you know, getting late, so I'll probably get ready to pack it in soon. But, I'm glad that we got this up and running, so we got the chat thing working. I fixed my VCR, but unfortunately I forgot to press record and play while I was downstairs, and I don't really feel like doing that right now, so I'll just do it tomorrow. But that thing is pretty sweet, man. I mean, like, you know, we're getting pretty good copies. The VCR, I almost had to, like, take it apart. I did take it apart today. Not completely, I just opened up the cover and lubricated parts and cleaned it. But yesterday, that VCR gave me a completely scrambled image, and I couldn't get it to work right, so I carried it all the way upstairs, opened up the cover, then put a tape in there. Everything worked fine. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, it's working fine, but I didn't do anything to it. So I decided to just clean it more thoroughly, and then basically called it a day, you know, called it a night. And I put it back in the room. Whew. So, this is interesting. The Mobile Suit Gundam that I re-encoded, I may have wasted a shit ton of time. Yep, that's a waste of time right there. Look at that. See what we're looking at there? It's been cropped. So we basically have to delete every file we did already. We have to tell the encoder to stop. And we have to tell it to, you know, just get rid of all of these episodes. Okay, so there we go. And I gotta say, this computer is emitting a lot of heat, so I have to keep cracking open the window. I probably should have deleted those files before re-adding them, but oh well. See, these won't just work in my editing software. I tried that first. So basically, same concept. We'll keep the same video codec as the source material. Make minor adjustments to it. The audio, that's the main thing we have to re-encode. We can't really keep any of the original, you know, AAC. We want to down mix it too. I hope it's down mixing it. I don't even know how to down mix it. So what this just did was it added all of these audios and hopefully automatically set it to down mix it to stereo, because you know we're starting with surround sound and we want it to you know, we want to turn surround sound into stereo. Okay, good. So I actually made some corrections. Also, during an earlier encoding, I accidentally left one of these filters on. So this time we left, you know, we turned off the unnecessary filters. See, I'm like erasing all of the excess stuff in the file name that I don't need. In fact, we don't even need that part, right? We don't need the word Mobile Suit Gundam. We just need Gundam. Okay, so that's episode 1. And we've added it to the queue. Now we're going to do episode 2. And how's that other process running? So now it's using 100% CPU power. So it looks like, you know, unless it did something else, it looks like that the encoding process is not at all bypassing the GPU at all. Well, it's not bypassing the CPU. Well, that's interesting. So the computational portion of the GPU is a little flat, but it says it's doing something. There we go. So that's the CUDA core right there. So it is doing some CUDA activity, it claims. And you can see the minute I paused the encoder, it stopped engaging in CUDA activity. So I'm going to leave that on pause for now because I really don't want to, you know, keep this running while I'm trying to sleep. But at that point, that's doing more or less what I would expect it to do. You know, when I ran the encoder with the CUDA cores enabled, it used some CUDA core processing, but it didn't really save a whole ton. Like, look at that. When I paused the video encoder, the CUDA activity stopped and the CPU activity dropped. So, you know, no real gain there. But at this stage, what we will do is continue to add whoops, I double added episode. Let's remove the duplicate. Now, luckily, I already gave this episode a file name earlier. We have all of our parameters plugged in already, including the cropping and resizing, which should be like none. And we should be able to also preview the cropping by clicking here to ensure that I don't accidentally screw it up. Yeah, that's basically correct. That's what we expect it to look like. It's got two ways of previewing the crop. This is the other. The audio sounds great. I gotta be careful. You play this for too long, and I think the company whose name will not be named will pick up on it. Subtitles are a little bit hit or miss with this application. We're going to just find out what happens afterwards. Luckily, for the purposes of what I'm doing, having that, subtitle track isn't as important. So we got episode 2, episode 3. Oh, and I made a mistake here. I gotta go back to episode 2 again, unfortunately. Because I'm using this extra long file name, and I don't want to use this extra long file name. I want to keep the file name short. So we're gonna clean that up right now. We're just gonna remove Okay, so we're on episode 2. We're gonna rename it, add it to the queue. Then we're gonna do episode 3. Same concept, drag and drop it, rename it, paste it in. And this is all being done because by default, these video files are not fully compatible with my editing software. And, well, I need it to be compatible enough that I can easily edit these and, mess with all of the audio tracks. And so that's almost half of the entire series. Now we got to do the next episode. Whoops. So same thing, we just paste it in. Erase the excess. And then we just paste in the end of the file name like that. Whoops. Maybe erase the excess there. Boom, boom. Paste it in. Add it to the list. Next file. What the fuck? Just like that. Easy does it. And so at that point, I'm basically done with this. I mean, I think I'm gonna like call it a night very soon. There are other ways to do this. we could probably automate some of this. Especially if I was doing it straight from the command line. Now, FFmpeg can be done straight from the command line, but... Oh, this is an important episode here. This is like episode titled La Vie en Rose. And La Vie en Rose is a sort of like a space station. It's a ship. It's a mobile construction ship that allows larger ships to dock with it in order for repairs to be performed. Sort of like a moving dry dock. And uh-oh. Wait a second. Did I shit. Episode 5. Uh-oh. Ah, crap. I might have to, like... I may have actually messed up every episode from episode 4 onward. And we can confirm that because we can see the original file name. Okay, so this was episode Warrior of Von Braun, episode 6. But where's our source material? I need to see the source because right now it's saying that the output file will be over here on the F drive. See, this is like a little confusing here. It doesn't tell me the source file name here, but I'm pretty sure this is using the wrong file. Everything after episode 5 has to be wrong. And I know that because this is episode 5 up here. So it means I've been dragging... must have forgotten to drag and drop new episodes after episode 5. That is a bummer and a half. Because it means that I have to delete everything after episode 5 because I don't have any way of ascertaining which episode is which. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete these. That's a bummer. And we're going to go back. So we were on episode 4, Attack and Retreat. Okay? And then episode 5, To the Sea of Stars. And that's actually the one up here right now, but I want to be darned sure I got the right episode. Now, I think I already have it up here, so I don't have to redo that part at least. So that's episode 5. We just got to give it a file name, add it to the queue. So that's good. At least we don't have to worry about that. Episode 6, give it a file name. I got a file name right here for episode 6. Paste it in there, add it to the queue. Take this one here, paste in this suffix that I have here. This is so that I can recognize the converted files, and you know, basically it's just the way I can identify them against other files and other versions of the same file. We drag and drop it. That's the previous file name. So once again, we got to paste in the new file name, add it to the queue. Next one, conspiracy sector, because there was a conspiracy afoot in this particular episode. And this one here, we can actually erase part of the file name, because remember, I'm trying to go for like a nice short and sweet file name. Paste it in, add it to the queue. Nightmare of Solomon, episode 9. Same thing, paste in the new file name, add it to the queue. This one is Colliding War Zones. We highlight it, drag and drop it over here again. paste in our file name, add it to the queue. And then the last one I'm going to do today, even though actually we're so close to the end of the series, I should just keep going. La Vie en Rose, and that is the spaceship that they use in order to effect repairs on, you know, it's a mobile construction ship. They might even have a model kit of that. Okay, so this one here, let's just make sure we don't forget to drag and drop it. Make sure I did La Vie en Rose. Oh, I forgot to add La Vie en Rose. Luckily, the file name is still valid. So all I gotta do is hit add. Then I can do this one here. Just like that. We go like that, we go like that, we add it to the queue. And then one more episode, and then I think the rest of it is like, well, I'm gonna get the next one anyway, but it may not be necessary per se. But anything that contains unique scenes of, you know, starships has to be included, because, you know, this is a space, well, it's not really a space opera, but it takes place in space. And so all of these, yeah, we got to include it in all of these. So at this point, at least now, that's a special episode, so I marked it accordingly, and there we go. So we add it to the queue. So do I start it now? Nah, I'll wait till the morning. What I do is when I get up tomorrow, I'm going to just highlight one of these and click start. Now, only thing is, this application had a little bug where it would freaking, it wouldn't go and do them automatically. Like, I would have to click start manually on each one of these. That issue got resolved, but then what it would do is it would give me an error message saying you can't run 2 jobs at once, and I'd have to click OK, and then the instant I clicked OK, it would move on to the next job. But that was a little bit annoying. I think it might have been the other window, because I have 2 instances running. But right now they're both paused or inactive, so we're gonna let them be. And with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank the Super Mario Brothers movie fan channel for tuning in tonight. If anybody getting this on a replay, please consider liking, subscribing, and, you know, just, yeah, liking, subscribing. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall